What's up, folks? My name is Tenazi. I make music. So, for the first time on this YouTube channel, I'll be showing you guys how I mix my rap vocals. So, I'm just gonna play them right now with the effects. Should have just, yeah.
Hey, first of all, before I start the verse ngiphindle. Angisab noyedwa kulama rapper ngiphindle. Isikole ngasiqeda. Educated rap. Angizange ngizenze uCasper. Whoa, respectfully. First time I ever did the opposite of what my idol did.
Yeah. So, right now, I'm just gonna turn off the effects. Yes. So that I show you guys each step of how I mix these vocals. Yeah. So this is how they sound like with no effects.
Hey, first of all, before I start the verse ngiphindle.
Yeah, I'm using a very, very low budget microphone. So it has a lot of reverb. No, reverb, no. A lot of low end, I mean. A lot of low end, yeah. So the first thing I add is a Fruity Parametric EQ 2, and then I go to presets, and then I just choose this one, the vocal present. It always works for my mic because I feel like it elevates it just a little bit, and then I just like manipulate it. Maybe I make it sound however I want it to sound. Yeah.
Hey, first of all, before I start the verse. Hey, first of all, before I start the verse.
It's a slight difference, but it works. And another thing I add is a FabFilter Pro Q3, and then I roll off the low end. So this is the low end. Like if something sounds like there's a lot of bass or bass or however you say it, it's usually because there's a lot of low end. So let me just play it with no pro without the EQ.
Hey, first of all, before I start the verse ngiphindle.
With the EQ,
Hey, first of all, before I start the verse ngiphindle.
there's a huge difference. I hope you guys hear it. And another thing I put is a compressor. Yes, so with the compressor, the compressor will squash my vocals so that they are more consistent. Yeah, because on the vocal, there's some parts where the words are smaller than some other parts. So what a compressor does, it compresses everything so that, yeah, just like I said, so that your vocal is consistent. Yeah, so that it doesn't peak. So this is without the compressor.
Hey, first of all, before I start the verse ngiphindle.
This is with the compressor.
Hey, first of all, before I start the verse ngiphindle.
And it's a really hard compressor, and I like it that way. Yeah. And another thing I add is a de-esser because I'm trying to make the vocal loud and present over the mix. So I need an effect to lower those s, but because as I make the vocal louder, those s's are gonna get louder too. So I'm using this preset called TD-esser 2 to kind of tone down those s's and t's. Yeah, just like here it says TD-esser. So this is without the de-esser.
Hey, first of all, before.
This is with the de-esser.
Hey, first of all,
It's a slight difference, but it's gonna help out once we make the vocal really, really present. And another thing I add is a fruity limiter. So this thing, cleaning out the vocal, just getting rid of the what is this? The background noise, because my mic, as I said, I'm using a USB mic and they have a lot of background noise. So this fruity limiter, it controls those background sounds or noises. And another thing I add is a sound quantizer, just for a little bit of distortion. You could also use you can use any okay, so this video is all about what I do, so let me not say what you could use, because this is what I use. Yes, I use a sound quantizer. I usually go for A most of the time, and then I just play around with the thing here. Maybe like turn it up, turn it down, just to see what I like. So this is without the sound quantizer.
Hey, first of all, before I start the verse,
this is with the sound quantizer.
Hey, first of all, before I start the verse,
so now the vocals are getting up front. Now they're more in your face now, and I like that. And another thing I added was another compressor, because I felt like it. There's no need for it, but I felt like I needed another compressor, just so, yeah, just for the vibes. Yes. And then I added this effect called fruity flanges. Flanges, I don't know, but yeah. I felt like it added something different with these vocals. Yeah, it's just a slight difference, but I could have left it out, but I just chose to leave it on because it sounded better that way. Let me just play it right now. This is without the effect.
Hey, first of all, before I start the verse,
this is with the effect.
Hey, first of all, before I start the verse,
yep. So it sounds like that. So I just turned it down just so it doesn't take over my mix. Yes.
Hey, first of all, before I start,
let me just play. So far we have these. It's okay. So far the vocal sounds like this.
Hey, first of all, before I start,
and if I remove everything,
hey, first of all, before I,
it's a huge difference, and I hope you guys could hear it. So another thing, a very important thing for my vocals, for any vocals actually, is to put fresh air, because this thing, it elevates your vocals. It makes it more present, so that it sits on top of your mix. Yeah. This is without the fresh air.
Hey, first of all, before I start the verse,
this is with the fresh air.
Hey, first of all, before I start the verse, Hey, first of all, before I start the verse, Hey, first of all, before I start the verse,
huge difference. It adds that fresh air, like on the high end. Yeah. So I feel like I didn't explain what preset I use on the limiter. So I just right click here, and then I go to noise gate. Yeah, and that's it. And the last thing I add is another EQ FabFilter Pro Q3. It's just to roll off the low end again.
Hey, first of all, before I start the verse,
this is with another Pro Q3.
Hey, first of all, before I start the verse,
it's more cleaner now, because I really don't want like a lot of low end on my mix. Yeah, so that's it. Let me just play the vocals without the effects.
Hey, first of all, before I start the verse,
doesn't sound really good. Let me just, yeah.
Hey, first of all, before I start the,
big difference. Yeah, so now that you guys see how I do this thing, let me just play the beat. Let me just play with the beat, everything. Yeah.
Hey, First of all, before I start the verse ngiphindlela angisab noyedwa kulama rapper ngiphindlela isikole ngasiqeda educated rap angizange ngizenze uCasper respectfully first time I ever did the opposite of what my idol did Casper Nile Vest high school hand on my lap and ngabona ngesiqeda would you believe mangakutshela ungitshela ukhala ngani uma imali sengenile ngikusiza ngani kodwa imali sengenile I dropped out of school for the craft now I'm kidding I even got a grade 9 it's called Uki yeah my guy.
Yep, and that's it. And this beat is produced by me, if anyone cares. Yeah, but yeah. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Peace.